Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Don't worry, Toby. Just use the Force. Like in that film, you know.
365 Flicks Podcast. 365 Flicks Podcast. Come and listen to it right after you finish this podcast you're listening to. It's got Chris and Kevin and a weather guy called Toby. What's the point in a weather report on a podcast, I hear you ask? Well, there's only one way to find out. Download every episode that is currently out and listen to those bad boys right now. It's got Toby Osmond, who is kind of a guest host, but thinks he is the most important part of the podcast. Hashtag not joking.
You can find 365 on iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify, and awesome websites like DangerEntertainment.net, Nerdly.co.uk, and Tangent Bound Network.
It's like shit in a field.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out and try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, so stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen, and I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Brian. Hey, Brian.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Not too bad today. Yeah. I mean,
do you want to go first?
I was going to say better than Heno, who's nursing a cold or whatever.
There's...
Yeah, so...
poor Henno. It's been down and out for a few days now.
Yeah. Yep. So,
That sucks. And it sounds like it's not just a man cold. It sounds like it's a real cold.
yeah.
So,
Yep. I agree. So hopefully he gets better soon, and hopefully he'll be back next week, where he can go first. No.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, my last couple of days have not been great. I've had a really awful migraine, which is always fun. I've, talked about them enough on here. So they, completely leveled me yesterday, which led to me not getting Salty Language out on time. I had some other eBay listings I wanted to do, and also, Game of Thrones premiered last night, so I wanted to watch that before the internet spurled it for me. And I, for the longest time, I couldn't even deal with my eyes being open. And later last night was feeling better, much later, 4 a.m. And so, I watched Game of Thrones then, but the other stuff didn't so much get done. So, but that's all right. The podcast, I still have to list Salty Language tonight after we do this and stuff, but, yeah, I hate when that happens, but it's sometimes when I get these, they just completely shut me down. And like I told you already, Jen, it's I still have the headache now, but it's at a point where it's like a dull throb in my head, but it's enough that I can have my eyes open and, stare at a computer and whatever. So it'll, probably be awful later, honestly, because this will probably be when you're just getting over being sick and you do too much and then it kind of throws you backwards a day. Yeah. There's a good chance my head will hurt later from staring at the screen, as long as I will end up doing. But overall, whatever. Other than that, the week's been, I don't know, whatever. I've been trying to get as much stuff listed as I can on eBay because, like I've mentioned, I set up a GoFundMe, and I don't feel right not trying to do everything I can. I think I mentioned it on here. I know I mentioned it on Salty Language, but I couldn't remember if it was here too. But so I've been doing that. I went over to my storage the other day and got some more stuff. And I told you, I was like, I'm also attempting to address my hoarding issue. And my main hoarding issue is T-shirts. And it's not necessarily on purpose, but it kind of is, in that I haven't gotten rid of T-shirts. I mean, I still have T-shirts from high school. And it's because I always had that, I'm going to lose weight. And it's I'm just, at this point, it's listen, if you lose weight, you can just go buy new shirts. It's time for these to go. I have 6 giant totes of T-shirts, and that's not all of them. So it's time for a lot of them to go. Plus, I can't wear probably 80% of them, it's so some charity's going to get a big dumping of T-shirts soon, or maybe multiples. Maybe I'll donate to a few, spread it around a little bit.
Whoever's going to be out there, there is some really awesome shirts, because I know your shirt collection, and you don't buy just generic regular T-shirts for the most part. Most of them are pretty snazzy and cool in some way.
Yeah, the only generic T-shirts I buy would be undershirts, and that's about it. And those are just plain white to wear under another shirt or sweater or something.
Yeah, everything has a cool saying or a cool character on it, or it's very hip and pop culture-y right now. So it's perfect for the people going to looking for that finds.
Yeah.
When they go out to the Goodwills and whatever and the donation sites.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is any of them that I think I can sell, I'm going to try to sell. But
definitely sell.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I probably have some band shirts and stuff from, the 90s era and whatever. And some of those might be worth a few bucks, but whatever. In the end, it's more if there's money there, cool. If there isn't, I want that space, because my goal is to try to downsize my storage. you know, because there was a lot that when I moved, I didn't really have time to really sift through it. I just kind of had to throw it in boxes and go. So as a result, I have a lot of things. Like, I've got a ton of books over there. You know, a lot of them are paperback. I've got some that are art books. I've got, you know, it's like the art books are different. Those I want to keep, but a lot of the paperbacks I'll probably get rid of, you know, because I'm really I'm not really the type of person that goes back and rereads books, you know? So, and honestly, at this point, if I want to, I mean, there's so many books available on like Kindle or at the library or audiobook or, you know, there's so many ways to get those books now that I can find, much like the t-shirts. Like, if I want to reread a book, I can just get it again somewhere, you know? Plus, I mean, garage sales all over the place have like paperbacks for like 50 cents or a quarter, you know, or book sales at the library, you know, any of that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where my mindset is right now. Is I'm trying to make room, trying to cut down on the storage bill, you know, because like I said, I looking in there the other day and I was like, you know, if I can get rid of the shirts and the comics, that's like a quarter of what was in the place, you know, because I got like 13 boxes of comics over there still, you know. And it's a slow process because I don't want to just get rid of them. I want to go through them because there are a few books I might have that might be worth some money. You know, I don't think I have them, but I'm going to double check. And then at that point, I'll just, you know, contact a comic shop that I know that's always buying and just be like, whatever, you know, whatever they give me for them's fine. Just get rid of them. So yeah, that's, yeah. It's weird though, because a lot of the stuff I'm getting rid of or putting on eBay and stuff is, you know, stuff I bought over the years, like for collecting purposes and stuff. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's not bittersweet, but you know, it's a little melancholy because it's, you know, but I know it's for the best. And it's awesome that I have some of this stuff because I can sell it now, you know.
It's for your future.
Yeah. And again, a lot of it is like, you know, I'm looking at some of this stuff going, look, it's been in a tote for like a year.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how bad do I need this? You know? So, yeah.
It's one of those things. You're doing this for yourself and for your future. And you guys got to keep your eye on that goal.
Right. Not to mention, I mean, if I do get to a point to where, you know, I were to like move out again or something, it's like, I don't know what kind of, you know, place I'd be able to afford. I'm sure it's not going to be big enough to put all this stuff, you know, so
it's that,
you know, and I don't want the storage space at all, but you know, I've got some stuff I really don't want to get rid of. So, and there's no room here for it. So I kind of am in the, you know, if I knew somebody who had an open garage or something, it'd be different maybe, but so yeah, but I just really been trying to keep myself in this mindset for now. And, yeah, I got a call from, the Red Cross today, basically telling me that, that there's no news on the testing of my blood, which is good news because that means I don't have various diseases.
That's good.
So that's always a good thing. And, you know, they told me what my blood type is because oddly enough at age 40, I still had no clue what my blood type was.
Really?
Yeah. It turns out I'm O positive, which is like the, you know, one that they can give to almost anybody. So
yeah, one of the universal ones.
Yeah. So the guy immediately was like, "Hey, how about signing up for the next time?" And I told him, I said, I will. I said, I you know, after I'm able to again, I'm like, I probably will be able to get my brother and we'll go do it again. But, I need to wait until I see a closer place to do it so we don't have to drive all over the city or something. But, and also, you know, I might, if my numbers are high enough, you know, maybe I'll do that Power Red next time or something. So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. But, yeah, the guy was, it's so weird. It's so weird to talk to people who are so excited about your blood, you know,
There's that.
that aren't doctors, you know, like,
Mhm.
I mean, he might be a nurse. I don't know. Like the people we dealt with that day were all nurses, but you know, it was, who knows? Yeah, I think that's about it. It was, you know, that's about all that's been going on for me. So, how about you?
Well, you know, it's been fairly uneventful. I've been doing some prep work I've got actually 2 interviews this week. So doing a lot of prep work for that and just researching the companies, coming up with questions to ask them, you know, anything that I can come up with. One of the jobs is involving barges, which I've never really worked with transportation with barges before. So looking up the rules and the guidelines for barge movements and learning all that stuff so that I have that under my belt by the time I go in there. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff. It's been interesting at work because whenever there's shift work, A, B, and C, or B and A and B, however it works out, there's always contention between the shifts.
Yeah.
It just is. That's what it always is. When you're following somebody doing the same job that they're doing, there's always leftover work, and it gets frustrating and it gets irritating, and we kind of pick at each other, and it just, you know, it's the nature of the beast. So we've got some of that going on that I'm working through and trying to keep my head clear, and act like an adult and keep my maturity level high, which can be difficult sometimes for us, you know, even if, no matter what age you are, it can be difficult not to let the kid in you take control some days.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's it's tough not to just throw yourself on the ground and go, I don't wanna, this is not fair, so-and-so is being mean, you know, it's that part of you, regardless of how old you get, it's just always there, just waiting to come out. So you have to fight so hard against it. Some people don't fight as hard as they should. But
True enough, yeah.
And they kind of let it out a little bit too much. But for the most part, I've been trying to stay as good as I can. I have a confidant, I should say, that I can vent to, which is cool because, you know, one of my leaders is pretty cool about me just letting loose a little bit. And, you know, and he knows that it's just venting. You know, if I need to, I can go another step higher or he'll take it higher. But for the most part, it's just kind of getting it out of my head.
Right.
Which is so important, as we've talked about on the show so many times over. Most of the time, the issues can be resolved that you have going on in your head just by getting them out.
Yeah.
You know, the first step, just get them out of your head and get them spoken. And all of a sudden, things aren't nearly as bad as you were thinking.
Right.
So working on that, been doing that type of stuff. Trying to think what else is going on this week. That's about it. It's been kind of a lovely day, lovely weather. So I've been enjoying going out with the pups and taking them out and letting them run around a bit and stuff. And we're coming up on a holiday weekend. So, I'm going to have a Friday and Saturday off, as of right now anyways, because of the holiday.
Right.
Unless something changes. So actually I'm looking at checking out the new brewery that we have in town.
Yeah, I still haven't been up there yet. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited.
It's funny, isn't it? It is literally 2 minutes from my house and I haven't been up there yet. So yeah.
You could almost bike there.
Yeah. Oh, I could.
Like,
it's a deceivingly longer trip than it looks like.
Yes.
You know. But yeah, I really could. It's not that far. Or, you know, just get an Uber there and back.
Which is always the responsible way to do it anyways.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, Tony and I have been talking off and on about going there. We just haven't done it yet. So, and sorry for the local stuff, people, but and it looks like he's been doing pretty good about keeping a food truck there every weekend. So,
Oh, really? Good.
which is good because otherwise I was like, people are gonna leave because there's you get hungry. And otherwise, I mean, you could get Marco's, which is right around the corner. Subway, there's Chinese. I mean, and there's quite a bit right there, I guess.
Mm-hmm. There really is.
And you can take food in there or have it delivered or whatever. So,
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Which makes sense because if you're not going to serve food, you got to give people options because people, especially if they're going to sit there for a while, they're going to want something to eat,
And drinking. I mean, that's the thing. If you're sitting there and drinking, it's almost irresponsible not to allow them to have some food.
I know it used to be illegal. I don't know if it is anymore. You used to have to. That's why so many bars had like peanuts or pretzels because they had to have something, with the beer basically to keep them from just sending people out on empty stomachs.
Right.
Or, I guess
Never a good choice.
full stomachs, but they're full of beer. No food. So, yeah, it's no good.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping I can put something together and have that happen and come together.
Yeah.
And, there's a 3-week shutdown looming, May 13th, I believe it is. So hopefully, I'm putting out my positive and my optimistic vibes and all that good stuff out into the universe that, I'm really hoping that I'll have something before the shutdown, but
yeah, let's hope
something new. So we'll see. But yeah, that's about all I have going on. But I do have the article for us for this week.
Yep.
And this one is very relevant to everyone, I believe, but it's using a term that is mostly associated with social media, which is ghosting. And for those of you who are not familiar with what ghosting is what happens when one person disappears. So no longer returns your text, no longer returns your phone calls, your messages, basically just becomes a ghost and just disappears and you can't get in touch with them and they don't respond back.
Yeah. Most people probably have heard of it via like online dating. That's very common on there now because it's so easy to just not respond to people, which is terrible, but what are you going to do?
And I love this because the article starts with the very first thing it says is, let's get this out of the way first. Ghosting is a crappy etiquette.
That is true. It is. Yeah.
Yes. It's a jerk move. Don't do it, folks. We all find ourselves doing it because it's so damn tempting sometimes, but face the conversation. You don't want to have it. I know, but man up or woman up, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
And just say what needs to be said.
Right.
Ghosting is cowardly. Don't be that person.
Right.
That being said, how do you handle it when someone ghosts you? Growing with ghosting, 5 things to consider while dealing with the silence. The important thing to remember is that when someone ghosts you, it says nothing about you or the worthiness for love, and everything about the person doing the ghosting. It shows he or she doesn't have the courage to deal with the discomfort of their emotions or yours, and they either don't understand the impact of their behavior, or worse, they don't care.
Yeah.
So, we take for granted how much technology has changed the way we interact with people. We are humans first, but it seems we may be conflict-avoiding robots second. Efficiency and avoidance reign supreme in this futuristic dating world of 2017. And because of how easy it is to disregard anything and everything, common courtesy has now become painfully underutilized. Yeah. To be frank, it's exceptionally easy to ghost someone who has no connection to your life previous to the one encounter. If you aren't feeling it with this new person and you don't want to use the mental leaps to articulate a rejection to a practical stranger, then more likely than not, you won't communicate at all. Access to the ignore button has never been easier, and pressing unmatch on Tinder equates to deleting the person from your headspace in your own personal universe.
Yeah. And that is a terrible feeling to have someone match with you and you're talking and the next thing you know, you see that they unmatched you. You're like,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, it is the ultimate in rejection. And I mean, I've had it happen. Obviously I'm married, so I'm not on the dating sites, but I've had it happen to me on Twitter off and on, where I'll be talking with someone and for whatever reason, they either deactivate or they just disappear. And it hurts because this is someone that I'm not in a relationship with, like a romantic relationship with, but I'm still in a friendship relationship with them.
Yeah.
And it makes, you wonder, like, did they get hurt? Are they not well? I mean, did something bad happen?
Right.
And you worry about it and it's awful. You just feel awful. I'd much rather have someone just, even if on their page, they make a little post, it's like, hey, I'm taking time off, or, you know what, I've decided that I need to take a break from Twitter. I'll come back when I can.
Yeah.
And leave it up for a few days and then deactivate. Do it something along those lines, just so those that do care for you and care about you have that closure.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. It really does stink. And you see it a lot if you're on Twitter, and like if you're in any of the rooms especially, like you'll see somebody will be like, hey, does anyone know what happened to so-and-so, or does anyone talk to whoever? And it's like, no, why? What's going on? Oh, they deactivated. And it's like, oh, and sometimes it really sucks because somebody you've talked with a lot and it's like, okay, but I also understand, some people have to, for a variety of reasons, they feel they need to end, their account or whatever. But I'm with you. It's like, I just leave my stuff up. I just walk away for a little bit or something,
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I've seen plenty of people do it where they'll just post, like, their pinned tweet will be something like, I need a vacation, see you guys, whatever, and kind of a thing. And, and then there's other people, like you said, there's some that make a big drama out of the whole, I'm going to leave, or like only 4 more days until I'm going. It's like, come on, like, get over yourself. Like, do it or don't. Like, let's.
Right.
But I do appreciate them telling at least,
Yes, exactly. I mean, there was one guy that I was friends with, and all of a sudden he disappeared. He deactivated. And then, a few months later, he reactivated and came back and just picked up right where he left off. And it took me a minute. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It took me a minute to kind of even want to start a conversation with him and we still have yet to talk about why he left.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to pry into someone's personal business, but it was one of those things that.
It gets really tough though, because at a certain point, like, a lot of us start seeing ourselves like those people as friends. You don't just see them as somebody on the internet. You start, especially like if it's someone you've talked to for like a length of time, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, and and it's like, it stinks when that happens, because like you said, the key is to not take it personally, because it's generally not one person, unless it's someone like a troll or something that's harassing them. It's probably not you that caused them to run away, but it's tough not to look at it that way sometimes. Like, I just talked to him yesterday. They didn't say anything about it. Now they're gone.
It just disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, there's a friend of mine that I have the world as well as inside the Twitter world, and I was sending him a message through Twitter, and he had deactivated. It's very, just one day, just poof, deactivated, and I reached out to him, and I'm like, is something wrong? What happened? Because sometimes deactivations could come across as mutes instead of, a block. And a mute basically means that you can't see really each other's stuff anymore. And it just, anyways. So, for whatever reason, here I am thinking, because it's me, I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? So I reach out to him and he responds back, and we start talking and I'm like, are you mad at me? He's like, no, why? And I explained. And he's like, no, I've just been really sick and I needed to take a break. I said, oh, okay. I said, here I am thinking it's all about me, making it all about me.
Right.
When in reality, it has nothing to do with me. I said, that's really funny. And it's just another life lesson. It's like, it's not all about you.
Right.
As much as our worlds are all about us, yes, other people's worlds are not all about us. They're about them. So, we had a good laugh about that.
Right.
But the one thing that the article goes into is, what do you really want from the person who's ghosting you? In the land where easy hookups are abundant, polyamory is normal, and ethical non-monogamy sounds like something you'd see at the farmer's market. Here we are, trying to figure out this new world of dating. With each generation of dating and dating apps, we are met with new terminology, new hats to try on for ourselves, and we are refocusing our energies on what we're really looking for. I am a monogamous person. That doesn't mean that in my 50-plus first dates, I haven't been able to recognize some of my own awful behavior. Long, dramatic paragraphs of anxiety-ridden text to a new potential date, anyone? So I've had to re-examine myself a multitude of times, take a major chill pill, and reorganize my needs and desires. That being said, asking myself, what am I really looking for after I get painfully ghosted is seemingly the best question to ask. Why was this painful beyond it being inhumane and previously non-existent before modern day dating? Did I just want an acknowledgement of my humanity, closure so I can focus on the next person? Did I even find this person particularly interesting? What other things are going on in my life that are causing me to react so strongly? Something I've mentioned to a friend of mine who was dealing with seeing an ex dating. And it was someone she broke up with, and she saw him dating somebody else. And she felt that twinge in her inside.
Yeah.
And she just, man, did I make a mistake? And I stopped her and I said, well, you have to stop and think. I said, is it your heart hurting or is it your ego hurting?
Mm-hmm.
And when she stopped and thought about it, she's like, I think it's my ego. I said, it's very similar feelings.
Yep.
So it's very easy to get confused there, but you have to stop and think sometimes. It's like, what's actually hurting? What am I actually feeling here? And then address what the root cause is behind those feelings. And the other thing is, I do this a lot when I'm messaging with someone, is if I'm going to ask them a question that's a little bit more pointed or personal or a little bit more in depth into feeling, I always ask myself, I'm like, what do I want back?
Yeah.
What am I looking for from them? What kind of answer am I looking for from them? Do I even want them to answer this question?
Yeah.
Am I going down a path I really mean to go down?
Yeah.
So,
and also, a lot of times it ends up like you were saying, like with somebody ghosts you, it's like immediately you want to go, why? But at the same time, it's, it is a really, tricky spot because maybe it's none of your business, yeah. But at the same time, a lot of times it's funny because a lot of times we're asking out of concern, but it's so easy for it to seem like you were saying, to seem like ego,
well,
like, why'd you leave me?
Yeah. Is their opinion, their opinion even matter to you?
Yeah.
It's like, if they don't care enough to send you the response back, obviously their opinion should not mean anything to you. So it doesn't matter why. Because if they don't think that you're good enough, that's on them. That's not on you.
As long as it's that sort of a thing, yeah. Sometimes people take breaks for, mental health or something's really going bad in their life. Those are a little I'm very willing to forgive or let that kind of stuff go. But like I said, it depends too on what kind of conversation. Like if you just casually talk to them in a room or whatever, and then they go, it's like, oh, that sucks. But I wouldn't like really dig into it. But if it's somebody also who might be posting, like, has happened a few times on Twitter. I've seen this where someone posts stuff that sounds kind of suicidal type stuff, and then their account's gone. I've seen people act on that, like where they'll be like, hey, does anyone talk to this person in real life? Does, these kind of things. And so sometimes you really got to stick your nose in their business, but,
right. For good reason.
Mm-hmm. Because, when people get to that point, they're going to see it as a good reason, whether it is or isn't, distorted thinking and the whatnot. So there, Henno.
Distorted thinking.
Yeah.
Number 2, the sea of excuses don't feel any better than being ghosted. Kind of what I was kind of getting at, which is, what are they going to say to make you feel better?
Yeah.
Because, if they're ghosting you, probably what they're going to say is either not something you're going to want to hear, not something that you should care about, or it's just going to be a bunch of words that's probably not going to make you feel any better anyways. It's not you, it's me conversation. Mm-hmm. Or I think you're a really great person, but conversations.
Yeah.
Those that we all love to have so much.
Yeah.
I got on my old OkCupid account a couple years after being off. In a cruel twist of fate, I saw a sea of all the men I dated previously. We were all in this together, apparently, like some sort of sad loner club no one signed up for here. Here we are. Here we were, the men that ghosted me and the men that liked me too much, and I didn't feel the same way. Somehow, after years, we were all still here and all using the same tired profile pics. After a few days, a man messaged me a lackluster apology that he ghosted me as he was going through some stuff at the time. And with that, he walked back into the internet, never responded to my follow-up questions. Gee, thanks. I'm glad I could be a vessel in which you can exonerate yourself from strange guilt. Does it feel better that he weakly apologized and gave a vague excuse for his behavior 3 years later? Not particularly. So expecting any explanation at a later time isn't helpful in this ghosting journey that we're all on. More common than ghosting, here are some boring, obvious excuses that I've heard instead of being ghosted, and they feel about the same as the disappearing act itself. In no particular order. Sorry, I'm not really looking for anything serious right now. You lied on your profile. You said you're 5'8", but you're taller. I didn't see a connection. You're too good for me.
Oh, that one's a load. Yeah.
People are either desperate or not desperate enough. This ebb and flow of dating is equal parts predictable and surprising. Protect your heart, date whoever you want, but know that you will eventually get your feelings hurt. Whether it's half-baked excuses or radio silence forever. You know the saying, though. Better to buy a ticket to the lottery than never have played, right? Right? Well, number 3, know that you may ghost someone yourself.
And probably have without meaning to.
Me too.
I know for a fact I have. And it's something, especially on the internet, like at one point I was in over 20 Twitter rooms. And as a result, and then there were people I talked to independently from that, I wasn't in rooms with. We just talked via DM or whatever. And it's like it's a lot of people to keep up on.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I bit off more than I could chew. And I've done it a few times. I try really hard not to, especially for the people that I really want to keep a connection with. Even if it's once a week or something like that, I'll at least shoot them hey, what's going on and this stuff. Cause, I'm trying really hard not to, because I know in the past I tend to disappear. And it's not on purpose. I don't mean to do it or hurt anybody. And if someone says something to me, I will respond immediately. Generally, you know, it's just, but it's tough. You know, it like I said, it's just too many people sometimes.
And it gets rough when it's the whole, you know, I'm with you. It's like if there's someone that I really need to talk to or is important that I keep up with to me, if they message me, I try to message them back right away, or I try to make a priority of them. That being said, I know it gets old always being the first person to reach out and the first person to message.
Yeah.
So I do try to also reciprocate and, you know, and message them when I'm thinking of them and stuff like that. But it gets tough when you have quite a few people that you're continuing conversations with. I've really streamed down recently, and I'm trying, as much as I love talking to people, I know there's a bunch of new people that want to start conversations with me, but I'm trying to just really focus right now on my key friends that I'm really trying to keep the relationships going with.
Yeah.
It just sucks because I see interesting new people sending me messages and stuff that I want to talk with them too, but I also know that I have limited amount of time.
Right. You know, it's funny you mentioned that because there was a guy that was in rooms that I've been in the past, and people used to give him a lot of crap about how he didn't follow very many people on Twitter. He followed something like 100 people or somewhere around that. And maybe it was more than that. I don't know. Anyway, he didn't follow a lot compared to what a lot of people follow. And his reasoning, which a lot of people, you know, bagged on, which, you know, admittedly, I was one of them at one point, was that he basically is like, I can't possibly interact with more than this and still actually interact. And kind of a situation, you know, and a lot of people just saw it as a cop out, like, you know, you just don't want to follow me or whatever. And it, you know, but it's like, it makes sense because again, the longer you're on Twitter, especially like me, I've been on there for over 10 years. So I follow a lot of people on there. I don't look at my timeline all the time because there's no way I could keep up with everybody because, you know, unless I went through and turned off everybody's retweets, you know, and that's part of Twitter is seeing what people share and stuff. So it would just be impossible for me to truly keep up with everybody I follow, you know, and I don't think anyone really expects you to, but at the same time, you know, if out of say you follow 8,000, but 200 are really your favorites, you kind of only want to see the favorites, you know, so it's an interesting spot, but it's easy to, like, as you follow more and more and more people, somebody maybe used to retweet like crazy and it's fallen off because you're not following, or you're following so many people that the algorithm will look at it and go, well, you're not on this person's page every day. So that's why, like, I use lists on there so that I make sure I hit people that, you know, I really enjoy their stuff. But even that gets out of hand because, again, I've been on there over 10 years, you know? Like, every day I'm usually reading someone's account that I've never read before and going, wow, this is funny. And I'll go back and read, you know, and it's like, oh, I want to follow this person, you know, and you can't possibly stay on top of it. It's a fool's errand.
It really is. And then you find yourself avoiding real life.
Yeah.
Because you're spending so much time in the virtual world. And then we have a Ready Player One situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's see. Know that you may ghost someone yourself. Even I, queen of all emotions, have accidentally ghosted someone before. Have you ever met someone so unremarkable you just simply forgot about them?
Ouch.
You sat there during your date, shrugging your shoulders, stirring your iced tea, wondering if this person had a pulse. Yee, she's harsh.
Dang.
He stared at me blankly, asked me what I did, and I felt as if I was in a weird monotone interview for a job that I didn't remember applying for. As careful as I am, I accidentally ghosted someone and they were sad about it. I couldn't even bring myself to apologize in fear I would open up the strange waves of communication with this person again.
Oh, jeez.
It happens. I get it. It's a two-way street, and I'm human enough to realize my shortcomings. I'm sorry, Kevin, Or is it Brian? James? Stephen? Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All
See,
right.
that's what I was saying is it is. It's so, like the example I just gave is how easy it is to stop interacting with someone that maybe you didn't mean to or whatever, so. Yeah.
And there's those conversations that I'll completely own up to the fact, because you guys know I'm honest as I can be on this podcast. I have ghosted people because I didn't want to have the difficult conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff I said at the beginning of the article about being a jerk, I have been that jerk, and I'm not proud of it.
Right.
I will always try to do better, but it'll probably happen again.
Oh,
Not
it will.
gonna lie.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's like we all don't really want to do this generally, because like avoiding someone in the past was, you would just do it and kind of just move on with your life until you run into them at the grocery store or something like that, And now it's harder to do that in ways, but it's also easier. It's weird because on one hand, if you're on every social media site, people can see when you're on a lot of them, I don't know if Twitter does, but I know Instagram and Facebook both will basically tell people you're on unless you change your settings or whatever. So they literally could just follow you, like if they're on, like, oh, so-and-so's on, and then they message you and you don't message back, they're probably thinking you're ignoring them, and you may not be, But like I said, it's so easy on one hand because you can just not respond. But on the other hand, it's easier for people to see you, unless you go out of your way to hide from that person. So.
And there's the read receipts.
Yeah, that too. Well, most people turn those off, but
yeah.
But you're right. There are plenty of people who don't, but most people turn them off for that reason. Mainly, I turn them off because I don't like the fact that someone can do that to me. It used to bug the heck out of me back when AOL was the big email thing that people could, and I don't know if you still can or not because who cares, but you used to be able to look, like if I sent something from my AOL account to someone else's AOL account, I could look to see if they had read it yet. And I hated that because somebody can literally go, well, you opened it. Why didn't you respond? It's like texts, when you get a text from someone and they, or you text them, and then they don't respond back, but you see that it was read. You're like, really? You can't take 2 minutes and respond? I hate that because it puts an unfair pressure on there because there are plenty of times you get a text and you cannot respond.
Right.
You're driving, you're in a meeting, you're whatever your reason is, but yeah, anyway.
Now here's a really great one. You cannot educate a ghost. Love this one because if someone is not your responsibility, and I have people in my life that feels it's their responsibility to educate people.
Yeah.
How to drive, how to, behave themselves. And if it's not, they don't behave themselves the way that the person feels that they should be behaving, then it is their responsibility to make sure that they don't do that again.
Yeah.
So they're going to take action and, solve this wrong, right this wrong, and all this other stuff. You cannot educate someone else if they don't want to learn.
Right. And we've talked about that on here before.
Yes. So they have to open. It
goes back to, in ways that also it revisits Henno's, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me now? Whatever the other one is, I forgot. But, because it really is. No matter how much we come from a good place when we're trying to correct someone, it always comes across as you're a jerk. Or like 99% of the time, I would say it rarely comes across the way you want it to, like even teachers, a kid will get a question wrong and they'll be like, blah is the right answer. And the kid's like, kind of like, oh, you just made fun of me in front of everybody. It's like jerk move, even though it's like, no, they're giving you the right answer. So you learn.
So this may be the most important realization on my journey through ghost country. You simply cannot educate a ghost. There will always be people perpetuating the stereotype of non-consideration, maybe even you.
Mm-hmm.
These people are not in your control. Sending them a wake-up call does not work. It is not your job to educate them. This idea has been the hardest thing for me to accept. I have sent paragraphs of text to men who have ghosted me. This only solidifies the silence. Obviously, the person is not texting you back if you're going to badger him or her on their shortcomings.
Right.
Maybe they're going through something.
Boy,
You're
if they
not
do,
on their side.
unless it's in a violent way, I think that diminishes their stock to me even more.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like, blah, blah, you suck because you ghosted me, and they respond with like, you know, like, well, yeah, I ghosted you, but I had a good reason. It's like, stop it. Just, you should have just not responded. Like,
Yeah, just leave that one alone.
just go away. Yeah.
Maybe they're going through something. You're not on their mind. They
Also
don't
true.
care in the slightest, or their phone was eaten by an alligator.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, they don't care enough to contact you. So your novel of setting the balance right in the world will go to blind eyes.
Yeah.
It will drive you insane if you allow it to. Do not allow it to. As long as you're honest with yourself about your needs, somewhat earnest in whatever you're trying to accomplish dating-wise, then you can overcome this. It's all you can do. Getting ghosted means actively becoming a stronger, wiser person, because the alternative is bitterness and never-ending frustration.
You know, when I first started doing, or signed up for like the online dating sites, like I said, I had this happen a couple of times to me where I'd be talking with somebody and then all of a sudden nothing. And, you know, I have low self-esteem. So I, like you said in here, the first thing I did was, well, you know, look back at the conversation. Did I say something wrong? Was I offensive? And it probably wasn't me. Maybe it was, who knows, you know, or maybe it was both of us, whatever. But I quickly learned that it was like, you know, if somebody wants to ghost you, it's like clearly it's similar to like if you're at a party and you pull the old, I forgot, you know, where you don't say goodbye, you just leave, you know, type of a thing because you don't want to have the conversations with people. And it's like, if somebody wants out that bad, I'm kind of like, I don't want to hold them here, you know, like I got to that point pretty fast that I was like, if someone wants to ghost me, that is them telling me that they're doing me a favor and taking themselves out of my life because clearly this wasn't going to work out, you know? So,
Exactly.
you know, at that point, see ya, good riddance, have a nice life, whatever. And once I did that, the ghosting thing didn't bother me so much as far as the online dating stuff went. Now, admittedly, you know, I know people who've been with, like, they've gone on dates with someone for like a couple of months and then they just disappear. That's a whole different ballgame. Mine were all pre-date type scenarios. So, you know, it's not quite it's easier to just overlook them. Although after a while you're kind of like, what am I doing? Cause this is happening frequently. But whatever. It's just the idea that, but when it comes to this other stuff we talked about, like Twitter or Facebook or in real life, you know, whatever, when someone does this, it's generally harder because you most of the time you probably are more invested in the rapport with the person or that relationship or however you want to look at it, you know? But I've told, I don't know how many people doing online dating when they complain about it, I'm like, just let them go. Like, don't message them. Don't try, like you were just saying, don't try to teach a ghost, you know, just let them go. You know, they'll get theirs. Or they just won't find somebody or whatever because they keep doing this, you know? So.
And it's in your best interest. Like you said it best. It's like, it is in your best interest. If that person is not going to stick around for a conversation, you don't need them in your life.
Right? Because one other time will they just disappear on you? That's the way my brain goes, you know? Like, are they the type that when the going gets tough, they hit the bricks? I don't want that kind of person in my life because I've seen some stuff, you know, like you need to be fire tested probably to hang with me, you know, like that's the way. I don't want, you know, someone getting caught like deer in headlights. I want somebody who's willing to, you know, stay and fight. So, like I said, I just see it as a weakness, whether it is or not a weakness, but I see it as something I wouldn't want in a person anyway. So Like I said, they did you a favor.
It.
Mm-hmm.
And her number 5, in other words, relax.
Yeah.
Know that you're putting in the effort. Know that if things are supposed to work out, they will work out. Find a mantra, yoga, meditation technique, eat a giant plate of pancakes, do whatever makes you feel better to get over the first few hurdles of the unavoidable ghosting epidemic. No one ever promised us that dating was always going to be enjoyable.
Truth.
The funny anecdotes in the romantic comedies make it look like a barrel of laughs, but sometimes it simply isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Accepting this is an unfortunate part of the trade-off of putting yourself out there is like learning a tedious aspect of your job. You're going to hate it at first, but if you still want to date, this is the part of the job description. In other words, be brave, certainly put yourself out there, but also send only one follow-up text. Otherwise, you will drive yourself into certain madness.
Yep. I'm seriously of the belief that, like I said, if somebody ghosts you, I just move on, or I'll block them and move on.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not right away. I'll give them a chance. Cause again, you don't know, maybe something came up. You know, there was one time I was talking with a woman, and we were talking like various times through the day. And then all of a sudden, like for 4 days, she didn't send anything to me. So I sent a message to her and was like, hey, is everything okay? And left it alone. You know, and then, like I said, like 4 days later, she contacted me. It turned out her grandma had died, and she went to, whether or not it's true, I can't prove it. But that, at least in my head, I was like, well, and then she started talking to me again. So it's like, I am assuming that's probably a viable answer. Who knows? Maybe it isn't. But, you know, like that's one thing. But like I said, if someone just disappears, they can just go. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't have time. And that's, it takes me a little bit, you know, and I'm not going to lie. It's not as easy as this is just flipping the switch, but I try to be very mindful about, you know, messaging someone, maybe doing a follow-up message just to see if they don't hear anything back from them.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I won't necessarily block somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll just let it go. I have deleted the DM train.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually done that more than I've blocked. There's only been a few people I've blocked, and that was for what, you know, other reasons generally. But
I mean, a DM direct message it's Twitter talk for just a one-on-one conversation between two people. So I've deleted that. I've also, you know, texting chains. I've, you know, deleted those before.
Mm-hmm.
I figure if they open back up again, great, no problem. We can have some still talk. They can just start a new one. It's not a big deal, but it just gets them off my radar, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause otherwise, like I'm the type that I would keep seeing that thread and either be tempted to message or I would be eating myself alive. Like, why aren't they responding? You know, so out of sight, out of mind is a much better scenario for someone who, you know, when you recognize that you're that kind of person, you know, like I will obsess on that kind of thing. I don't mean in a bad way as far as like obsessing on a person, but it's like I will obsess on the fact that, again, I obsess on what's wrong with me. That's what I'll do. And the truth is, in the end, who knows? Because they're probably not going to tell you. So really, I mean, especially, you know, if it's a one-off or something, it's like, just assume it's not you. Or if it is you, it's just, it's not working for them. Like, it isn't what they want.
It's like in my scenario, you know, I made it completely about myself. And it turns out it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I've done that too. Mm.
Yeah. It's like completely about me. All about me. Everything's about me.
Yeah. Naturally.
Naturally. Duh.
Well, how many times have we talked on the show about ego? You know, it's like you said, it is. I mean, it's, you know, bites us in the hiney enough. So it's really hard to deal. I think, I don't remember if you were on that episode or not, where Heno and I talked about it, I think, where we talked about, you know, ego is so hard to get over. You know, it's like the deepest cut, you know?
It really can be.
Yeah.
It can really, the ego is very fragile sometimes, and man, it can get hurt. It can get bruised so quickly.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, in the end here, it's like, you know, the goal is, like I said, whether we mean to or not, we probably all have ghosted someone. We probably will ghost someone. I mean, you can even get, kind of ghosted. You can even get ghosted from like jobs, you know, like a place, you go in for an interview, they bring you back, tell you how great you are. Maybe they have you one more time and you call to find out what's going on. Oh, we'll call you back, you know, whatever. And then nothing. You don't get anything from them. And if you call, you still don't get anything. It's like, okay, I guess, you know, like they're trying to silently tell you they don't want you. But, you know, there's so many ways that it can be done. And like I said, you know, you can just really avoid people now or block them or, like you said, mute them or hide their posts or what, you know, there's so many ways to just pretend someone doesn't exist now, which is pretty sad, but sometimes necessary, you know.
Right.
You know, like sometimes ghosting somebody's perfectly okay. Like if they're hardcore harassing you. Oh man.
Absolutely. You know, there's times, you know, if someone's not listening to what you're saying, then yeah, absolutely. There's definitely times ghosting's.
Yeah.
But for general purposes, don't do it.
Try not to. Yeah.
Better than that. Or at least try to be.
Yeah.
Try to be better than that. Well, I don't know what you think, Brian. I think it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, that's a good place to cut it.
All right, cool. So, with that, folks, if you'd like to continue the conversation, don't ghost us. Contact us. Insert laugh track in that big long pause. Don't ghost us. Just contact us. You know what to do. You want to continue the conversation, you can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also reach the show at the Crazy Life Podcast.weebly.com is our website. The Crazy Life Podcast at outlook.com is our email address. And how can they reach you, Brian?
You can, real quick, you can find Henno at Ida Henno on Twitter or at Henno Heiter on Facebook. The links are all in the show notes if you need them. You can also find this show on Twitter at the Crazy Life Pod. You can find me at Stunami. You can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. And that show is not safe for work, so be careful who you listen to it around. Shoot. I lost my spot. Oh, our Facebook group is facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast. We are part of the Danger Entertainment Network, which can be found at dangerentertainment.net. And we are also part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go check out those networks and see if there's any other shows you may be interested in. And, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's all the links. So if, if you find yourself, needing help, please reach out. There's tons of people out there that are willing to help you. And, or have dedicated their lives to it or whatever. So just please reach out to people. Check on your friends that, like Jen said, she had somebody who, disappeared on Twitter from her, but she had their numbers. So she checked in, make sure everything was okay. So, do that, especially if someone's going through a hardship. And then last of all, just try to be nice to other people. And, also be nice to yourselves.
Yes. In a very, very big flashback, Be Kind, Rewind stands out in my mind for some reason. Every time you say be kind.
Right.
So with that, just be kind out there. Enjoy your week. Make the best of it. Talk to you later.